So I thought I'd make a video right now. This here in this room. They got sheets all over in this. They got some sort of shrine. They got some Buddhism statues too. Wanted to make a video because I think it's very important about some subjects that I think will be very benefiting to whoever the psychologists are. This is my ideas and take on it. Sort of my ideas and take on it. I'm feeling right now is just sort of venting. I'm almost positive, at least that's what it feels like right now, that Frankie, he's having some sort of mental issues. Like, not mental, but like, I just got done speaking to Charles Schwab, and this guy's trying to mock himself like Frankie, exactly. I know how Frankie is. I've mapped out Frankie so well. He's my brother. I know exactly how he would process things. And I can tell you this right now, it's the fact that he kept moving forward and he kept on having all this pressure and horrors happening to him. I know what I'm telling you. No one, George Bush and Barack Obama are shitting on my mother and brother in my life. It's never going to stop for Sarah and Ken Cooper. I was the sole representative of this entire situation. I can tell you right now, Sarah and Ken are 100% with Kenneth because they're firing back this and that and sabotaged it, throwing me in the pit of fire in every which way they could because they knew they didn't report it to the police about what had happened to Frankie and fooled my mother. I could never explain this enough more times. Frankie got on the phone and had to threaten. My mom told him to make the threat towards Sarah and Ken. Says, don't ever call here. Don't, basically fuck with my mother. The reason that she did that was because Sarah wanted control over my mother, my dad's real estate, and everything in the actions. This is when I talk about that Sarah Cooper was threatening and using Frankie and doing this and using this as a moment to control Frankie in the vulnerable situation when my dad's suicide happened. Remember when I told you that when I went to Sarah and Ken Cooper's house with Kenneth being the security police officer of everything and manipulating everything, that before I left, Sarah Cooper looked at me and goes, you. She did that because she knew that whenever my dad's suicide happened, this is a very traumatizing event people can remember, that she told Frankie to go after my mother. And I talked about that. Me and Frankie were walking to the car and my mother had to put Frankie in a sort of lockdown situation in training mode. And this is why Frankie and my mom used to talk alone in Frankie's room all the time. This is why Frankie and my mom used to talk in the room all the time, because my mom was trying to bond with Frankie very tightly because she felt unsure about what Sarah and Ken were doing to Frankie. And this is the same thing that Kenneth was doing when Frankie started crying in the back porch when Ken Cooper was making him lie, trying to pretend he was a police officer. Because what I think happened is I think someone gave Frankie a lot of money. Someone told Frankie, come over here, I'll give you all the money and we'll make our own life. We'll take whatever you have. Frankie had no friends. If Frankie turns out that he didn't go to the service, and it turns out that Frankie, this is going to be really scary and bad because Frankie, I'm telling you, Frankie had no one to absolutely go along and say, there had to have been somebody take advantage of him without a doubt. But I think it's important for me to say this I'm sure of it's Frank. I know because I know how Frankie is. What George Bush is trying to do to Frankie and my mother and Barack Obama by ordering his psychologists and his pigs is based on white supremacy and for the niggas. And it's for political power and gain. Because if my mother has defaulted dementia and something happened to Frankie, then that leaves entirely the inheritance to me, me and Julian and whatever twin didn't participate at all in our immediate family. So this is why, and I think it's important to say, Mikayla, I don't know how much or if you even allowed to, you're never gonna believe me. I don't know if you ever will believe me. It's a very disturbing. I don't would feel bothered by it to talk to you about it. You're a fully grown woman. The reason that whole pornography happened to you was because it needed to happen because it would have played out for Sarah, Ken, and Kenneth at the radio station because it only benefits them. The more disgusting and pig-infested that you look, the more your decisions throughout your entire life and important situations like right now with Michael Jackson, President Barack Obama, George Bush, is going to be less credited. It's the same thing like a person that went to prison for a violent crime, even though that they could have done it for self-defense or did it for the very rights of means of retaliation that someone did to their family. Is it going to change that everyone else is going to look bad at those people because they went to prison and they got the prison tattoos, but they weren't that way? It discredits any word you're going to say, and it toward yourself, and it affects you because you don't know how money hungry and the type of money that Sarah and Ken and Kenneth and that family was after. My immediate mother, dead father, our father, Hector, I don't know if he's still alive, and Frankie. You don't understand how nasty it was. Unless you've experienced suicide firsthand like I have, you gotta understand that suicide is gonna be played out by Sarah and Kenneth because it's all about envy and jealousy. That's all it's about, envy and jealousy. I want to take what you have, and if I can't, at least you're not going to get it because it does belong to your table, and I'm going to take it anyway. And they did, because the lack of information and intelligence. You have to understand that when my mother's having to do this and my brother's having to do that, Sarah and Ken and Kenneth are playing how cool is Kenneth with the radio station and using this and abusing Julian because he can penetrate the trust issues and use that as a trust situation. It isn't going to change anything because the psychologists understand, oh, everyone's safe here, everyone's safe here. No, because word of mouth finds out where I'm working. And then all those people start playing prejudice shit on me. Oh, you got a sister? So in this particular situation that I talk about with Frankie, I know Frankie feels comfortable talking to me when it talks about this situation. That's for sure. It's because Frankie I don't know if he has to be hand-fed. Somebody, I was calling the baseball batting cages, and some guy was taunting me about this. He goes, "Oh yeah, I got some over here, machines over here. They have to be hand-fed." "Oh, I got some over here. You got a retard one over there too?" "Yeah, I got some over here that got to be hand-fed now too." You got a retarded one over there too now?" "Oh, see, that was a pass. Well, I got a retarded one over here now." And they play these psychological games. It's to imprison and benefit white supremacy and this prejudice movement for the LGBT community. So, in this larger picture of everything that's going on, I think it's important for me to say this. Is you can look at the screen right now that I'm making. You can see there's glitches and all this. They're doing that so that I don't release this information to you. They're doing this to prevent me from protecting the situation with Frankie. Frankie got raped by 9 to 10 fully grown men and put in his cage for like 10 fucking years. It wasn't until he was about 15 or 16 years old that he finally had enough courage to go outside and shoot a couple hoops by himself. I've never seen Frankie do that. as Miguel was walking by. That was Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper that allowed that to happen. So, as I was saying, I say this because it's only going to get worse, and it's only going to be benefiting for that race. They're going to keep exchanging and keep layering it. It's never going to stop. It's such a forfeiting loss because it's my brother. If my brother were to die, it's going to immediately affect me and put tears in my eyes if Frankie died. It's not going to put it in if Madison dies. Michelle dies. Oh, that's the president's wife's name. No, Michelle Cooper or Kenneth. It's not going to affect me like it does. So I think it's important because I believe that they're trying to spend these millions and billions of dollars on boats, vacations, and putting the family together and all this other bullshit. It was just a free ride. Those pig-infested, the President of the United States and him doing this, I know my mother and I know my brother billions of times more better. They did this on purpose in teams for the gay community. This has nothing to do, this doesn't even put me in the category that I'm even actually his brother, because they want the benefiting proceeds to go to him when he can't think for himself, to then shit it over to white supremacy in the White House, you know, and for the black niggas, because all they're going to do is going to keep layering it. Oh, but then this. Oh, but then later down the road. Oh, but then this is not your table in suffering, but that's exactly what it was. I can't do anything about it. You know, they put me down a long time ago. I'm fucking, you know, you saw the videos on fucking YouTube and Facebook, fucking living in 30-degree temperatures, sleeping next to trash cans, and living underneath bridges to not taking showers. I mean, just scum, being spit on all the time. That was, you saw probably about 30% of what was going on, and, you know, 70% of that time it was just happening, just constant, nonstop. A huge parade against me. A huge parade against me was nothing more than that. But I think it's important for me to say this because, you know, they control my financial money. They control the poisons they put, medications, all that shit. Bank accounts. Because even when I'm talking to them on the phone, they're going to say, oh, but you're not Raymond Palomo's son. Oh, but wait until Raymond Palomo's dead, and then now we're gonna talk about other Hector that may be alive, or if he died. Now there's just exchanges. Oh, okay. So it's never gonna stop. The President of the United States is gonna get what he wants, and what he did to my mother, and he did to my father. Nobody on this world could put a detective down that's been putting people incarcerated because he was a detective and police officer and law enforcement for 40 fucking years. There's people that he arrested, and it's a detective that did it, that spent death in prison. They spent 20 years in prison, yet he didn't want to report and say anything, and they're all going to keep making it up. What did George Bush do? He killed over 130 people on death row. How is he going to feel emotionally connected to Ken Cooper? But he wants to talk to my dad, and he wants to talk to my mom, and now he wants to talk to me, give me a fucking United States bullshit reward? That's exactly what this motherfucker wants to do. I don't get to live a normal life, and he lets those scum pieces of shit and family did it, and there was no reason for it to happen. They knew what they were doing, and the groups of people that was going to happen, while he's promoting that at the radio station. Every time I just takes a little click to turn on the radio. Oh, guess who's popular and who's doing it for the community? Over 50, 60,000 fucking people. But I think it's important to say, I know it's Frankie. I believe it's Frankie, but I can't worry about it. I know how Frankie's sort of processing thoughts go. Frankie is glitchy. I just know, I felt very comfortable talking about it with him. You got to understand that all the people that had raped him and done this is because that's the way that he is, that what had happened. I know how he is. Nobody understands how the interactions in our home, what they were. It's impossible for Frankie to have been able to make any normal decisions. Impossible. Any clear-headed without me and Jillian and my mother, not by himself, it's impossible. There was too many people against my mother and going after Frankie's rectum, raping him. And I think it's important for me to say this. I know that there's some sort of issues with that's going on. And I know what I'm telling you, they're going to keep layering it. They're going to keep layering and they're going to keep making excuses. They only pointed the finger and persecuted me for it, for things that I didn't even responsible for doing. And my mother has a third-grade education. Sarah Cooper and Kenneth were telling me to stay away from my mother. They were telling me, oh no, she's fine, she's okay. Oh yeah, Julian got it. This is all they were telling me. Sarah Cooper was telling me, I don't know how your mother did. Your mother was crazy. Kenneth was saying this shit. And God even knows if Robert Palomo and Michael Palomo got involved, because I know they did. Michael Palomo gave his contact information to Frankie. And gave his contact, and Robert Palomo gave, I know, his contact information to Frankie as well, which is a big no-no in my mom's book. But you're going to get Ken Cooper and the white supremacy for the glory wins for Madison and Kenneth. It's never going to stop, because everywhere I go, that's all they're doing to me. Every celebrity, Dana White, the UFC fighters, they're going to keep, they don't care about my life. They don't care about my mother. They care about what they can put on their table by sacrificing playing political politics with this. They don't give a shit. They want to execute for the community, gay community, and persecute Frankie and get away with it. Because they know that I was smart enough in what I was going to do. There was just too many people. It's never going to happen. There's to any victory, nothing. It's just, it isn't. But I think it's important, because as empty as it so feels that God has any power over Barack Obama or George Bush, there's nothing that's going to be bigger than those people. To get rid of their life, to scum them to shit into an afterlife. Nothing, you can curse them. They got people on death row. They get used to killing and disposing human life, and they only want to be praised. So I think it's important for me to say something about this, because my mother would like something to say that I was her son. And Frankie, but you make of it what you want. It's such a forfeiting loss. I can't even describe this fucking loss. Like, it was such an unfair fight. It's such selfish greed advantages by other people, by even the closest people. It's just really hard, because you just have to kind of play yourself like Mother Teresa. Sarah and Ken understand that they have to get the blame to be put on them, because they know that my gun's going to be pointing over at Madison, it's going to be pointing at Michelle, and it's going to be pointed at Kim, and it's going to be pointed at Kenneth. 100%. And as soon as they get sick, as soon as they have a stroke, okay, now exchange that trouble with Frankie and my mother and all this, oh, then fuck you. But keep that one safe over there. So they know that. They already know that my mother, but I think it's important to say something, because it gets tiring to hear my mother cry, like, mentally, and I don't have anything to say other than to try to create peace. Use this information to try to help bond and heal something. Heal something, because this was greed and selfish. That's all it was from the very beginning. You're not going to get it. I'm going to take your life. I'm going to get away with it. I feel good about hurting and harming you in every which way. I'm not here to help you. I'm here to make you think that I'm here to help you. That's exactly what that family was doing. They're making exchanges. There's no fucking caviar on my table in any way. You make of it what you want. I think it's best to make some sort of formal peace, because by information I tell you about Frankie and my mother, you'll be able to fix the situation. And then you go over there, oh, you see, ta-da, but you wouldn't be able to do that much more better without this information. At least in my opinion. I'm not a professional psychologist, but you could probably use this information and be like, okay, we'll just serenade this and then I'll serenade that. Because I can tell that every place that I'm living at, the items they choose, the colors they choose, how they transfer me from one owner to the other and transfer me and do these, and they practice Frankie's behavior, my mother's behavior, Patricia, and they do all these emotional things. It's just strictly to squander everything. It's just there to squander everything and get away with it. Nothing more. It's for nothing more. Because in the reality of what is happening, at least in my world, if you don't have fame to offer me, you don't have anything to offer me. I don't want to be a DJ. I want to do something else as a career, out of entertainment. And if that happens, what if every single entertainer, what if every single artist, of a singer, musician, fighter, what did you offer me? You didn't offer me anything. I'm basically nothing more to you than you throw pennies at some homeless bum off the streets, which I once was for many years. And then I'm not able to give you nothing back other than say, oh, okay, thank you. You know, this is fun, nice lights. Oh, okay, bye-bye. Okay, thank you. It means you didn't offer me anything in life. And that's why they want me training to get into the entertainment. Because then they'll just start layering, saying, oh, it's for the country. Oh, it's because the president has to send those to go die over there. And then everyone starts playing the president. They just keep layering to get what they want. This is no freedom. Freedom of liberty, any of those fucking things. Y'all know how many people hate George Bush. I mean, there's not enough people in this world that could tell you how much they fucking hate him. You know, that person is dead. That person died a long time ago. He's gonna die like Hitler. You know, nobody likes a piece of shit like that. You know, in my opinion, I know that there's been stories out there where police officers have gotten arrested and sent to prison. There have been detectives that have been caught doing really awful things and sent to prison. But they couldn't do it to that white blonde-headed fuck because he was a white supremacist all cowboy, and he's going to keep making excuses, and his people kept on doing it for him because it's a secret of LBGT. You make of it what you want. I think of all the horrors that may be going on, that it's good to talk about it, but I want to heal from it. I'm old. I'm 40 years old. I'm not, this entertainment world thinks they're offering me something. They're offering me nothing, because it's going to put disappointment in the eyes of every single celebrity, every single human being, because I didn't go and be a DJ or entertainer and did all this other shit. That's exactly why, because that's why President Barack Obama is saying on live camera, saying, this is not Coachella. He's just signaling to the population to say, go after and kill Hector. That's what he's doing. He doesn't give a shit. That monkey motherfucker don't give a fuck. You should hear about how my father and my mother used to talk about black people. But you don't want to hear that goddamn story for 20 or 30 fucking, years. How serious they were about it. It's difficult because I don't believe, especially ones that are closest around you, to suffer like hell when it's your immediate family. Even in the moment of time, when it's happening when I'm 20 years old, remember, they're older, they're more wiser, they know how to pick away at what they want and take what they want. And tell you information that you think they're there to help you and they're not. So, my mom has twins, and Julian's going to play the whole twin shit. And, it's difficult, because once your health goes, and the circumstances change. See, once my health goes, the circumstances will definitely change if I'm still functional of any kind. But, there's more tragedies waiting. It's just like the guy that was taunting me over the phone. Yeah, I got another one over here. I got a hand feed over here, too. And he's already exchanging that dead body for your brother and your mother. Fuck you, this is for white power. Fuck you, this is for the black niggas. And it's just back and forth over there. You gotta understand how vulnerable and innocent I am. But I think it's important because, I want to heal from it. I do not there's nothing that you got to understand that even if I'm feeding ammunition, there's nothing that they're going to do other than heal from it, and that's why there's not a there's not a percussion of violent acts of justice that there's going to be done to these people, to Kenneth Cooper. Look at Head Crack. He's talking to 50 Cent and every single celebrity. He's the #1 person at the black radio station. I mean, it's so insane. All the entertainment business, they had nothing to offer me in this life. If I didn't do what they told me to do or trained me to do, then it is all a disappointment, and it shouldn't be that way. And I get conditioned by all home environments and every place and every phone call to other than think wise and think like that. They got every emotional statement. They got everything. They know what was likely to happen. Not talking to my mother, not functioning with my mother because I didn't see Kenneth suffer for it. I didn't see Madison suffer for it, thinking that now she's going to start working for her kids and family and use the white coat all the way down the red aisle in Hollywood, all this other shit. Like, even when I didn't want to participate in this, it's very difficult because I want to heal from it. And I think that's the only blessing that could ever possibly be bigger than anything is to see, look. Right now they're shooting me. Right now they're shooting me. Look, I'm not moving my hand. They're using an electronic device and they're moving my finger going like this. I'm not even doing anything. They just stopped shooting it. Look, I don't know if you can see that. My arm's perfectly still. You can see they're shooting something in the forearm. It's a sonogram that controls the tendons of where this finger holds. And that's what they're doing. So I think it's important for me to say this. They're going to keep justifying Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper. They both came into the house. They were very clear, and they're making up the situation. They're going to keep, they don't want to leave those, they're going to get what they want. You have no idea. Mikayla, you can watch these videos. I mean, I cannot express this for, it's not a disappointing of loss. It's, the suffering is becomes so senseless because it's such a forfeited loss when I knew that it was all, this is all my table, my mom's table, Frankie's table, our inheritance, our family. It's such a forfeited loss, I can't even describe the loss. The loss is like your family got burned in a house alive or some shit. You just come home and figure out and they tell your parent your family's dead. Like, it's just, it's such a loss, you know. There's no fixing. You got sent to death row for a crime you didn't commit. You got sent to prison for 20 years, something you never did. Like, it doesn't, you just accept those are supremacies. And they're not going to stop. They're going to keep learning and make excuses to why they took the time, why they made suffering, why they did this. They're going to keep doing it. Why all those stayed safe. It doesn't change anything. It's not. And I do want to heal from this. I want to have a peaceful situation because it doesn't go it goes senseless because there's other people that are doing it. And don't understand that the other people that are doing it are defending a monster. The only people that are doing anything good is bashing them for what they did. And even then, you know, at that magnitude, I'm not sure how exactly that public world works when you're superstars and stuff like that, but I don't know, I thought I'd say something. You make the most of it. You have no idea, Mikayla, whatever the situation is. Those stupid son of a bitches know exactly what they're doing. They don't lose anything in life. They don't care. They make reasons to their positions. They're smarter. They're smarter at getting away with what they want. This was, you know, I got 35 fucking tickets. 50 fucking tickets. I got proof of paperwork. Nothing. I couldn't, other than the loss of this situation, you know, preparing for my mother's dementia, Frankie's not being able to take care of himself or something, nothing. Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, you knew how to point the gun, and you're going to keep blaming. They're going to keep saying, I couldn't get anything to eat. You know, I just can't explain because, what makes a life value is so memorable is your family, the immediate family that you spent time with, your vacations, the relationships you had. That's good. That's the most important. And George Bush wants to make sure his political bullshit, and Barack Obama, is for the white supremacy and for the black niggas. And that's what it is. I can't even go to the grocery store and they were trying to sell me for sex. I swear to fucking God, they get some black girl to walk by me when I didn't show attraction or I didn't show interest or stare at this person. And I just ignored it and fucked them off. I didn't say anything. There came somebody to come act haggling and threatening me, saying that we're going to call the police to scare me. I said, I told you what sex and black niggas you're going to get. You see how love works and Jesus works? Like, I see what you're going to get, and it's fucking crazy. It's intimidation. Then they'll send 4 or 5 other people around me to corner me. You want to go to jail, prison? I told you you're going to get you a black nigga. And so that's all the people, the President Barack Obama and his racism, and George Bush for the political power and free murders that you can go by and get away with. But like I said, it's a loss behind anything. It eases a little bit of the pain, but it's just a loss that I can't even describe. I can't even describe, like, how that this is. It's not just the loss that I'm talking about. This is supposed to fetch out a winning victory. It's such a loss of the fact that it couldn't be protected. That's what it, because everything was on their table as they felt content. They're gonna feel sorry for the old piece of shit. Did probably deserve to fucking die. Did deserve to be burned alive or some shit, and they're giving pity to that person. I've been in nursing homes and I gave respect, but I understood what those circumstances were. They ain't gonna give a shit. I've seen 70, 65-year-old men have no problem raping the shit out your motherfucking rectum and ass and laughing, saying bon appetit as a chef's 5-star meal. Multiple, including it happening to me and doing that to Frankie. I've seen a lot of people 65 years old, they ain't got no problem going to the cemetery. They don't bother them at all. It doesn't hurt them. They don't give a shit. I'm going to the grocery store and they use these fear tactics because they know that I know that's what they were doing to they did this to my mother. The president is allowing that.